Come, my dearies, as we read Live at Peace with Your Nerves, a book from 1958. In this chapter is titled The Sensible Way to a Successful Marriage. In 1950, David G. Whittles and Professor Good listed the reasons given for 425 divorces. The commonest cause was emotional immaturity. The second cause for marriage failure, according to the study, was the fact that today, so many women can so easily get out of marriage. 50 years ago, with few jobs available for them, most women, when unhappy in a marriage, felt compelled to stay in it for economic reasons. Now that most intelligent women can get a job and even earn enough to bring up a child or two, thousands are leaving an unloved husband and going out on their own. Several times during World War II, a taxi driver telling me his troubles said that his wife had left him because as a lady welder, she could make more money than he. As soon as she was financially independent, she did as she pleased, and he no longer had control over her. When he complained about her failure to come home and prepare his supper, she said, "What are you going to do about it?" In some cases, the woman even walked out and left the unfortunate husband to take care of the children. Professor Good placed infidelity last as a cause of broken homes because he agreed with many other students of marriage who have found that infidelity is not so much a cause of a breakup as much as it is a sign that love has long departed. Come, my dearies, as we read Live at Peace with Your Nerves, a book from 1958. In this chapter is titled The Sensible Way to a Successful Marriage. A wife will fear that if she leaves her husband, he will lose his job and degenerate, perhaps because of his tendency to alcoholism. And a husband may feel that his responsibility for a mildly psychotic wife can never be terminated. Often, the man marries largely because he thinks the time has come when he ought to have a home and ought to settle down. Then he does not know enough to wait until he is sure that the woman he has been courting cares at all for him. He marries her simply because she said yes. Later, when she refuses to show him affection and tries in every way possible to get out of her conjugal duties, he has his lack of knowledge of women and of love to thank for the trouble he is in. Seeing that wives have no union to secure for them shorter hours, more pay, and fringe benefits, the least a husband can do is to keep saying words of appreciation about his wife's cooking, housekeeping, and general attractiveness. He must always notice her clothes and her hats and her new permanent. Welcome. We're reading a book called Live at Peace with Your Nerves from 1958. This section is called Understand What She Wants and Craves. And there are a lot of euphemisms in here, so pick them up, dear listener, as we move along. Many times in my medical life, when talking to a disgruntled and unhappy wife, I have heard her say that her husband sometimes tried to be loving, but usually left her very dissatisfied and even more unhappy than she was before, because he did not seem ever to be able to learn how to love her acceptably. The most wonderful persons in marriage and in all human relationships are those who are easy to live with, who are as comfortable as an old shoe. That's what I always say. Comfortable as an old shoe. But many couples drift apart in middle life, largely because the man has constantly to be growing in his knowledge and constantly coming into interesting contacts with unusual people. His wife, left at home with the children, stagnates. She fails to keep up. And what is particularly sad, sometimes she not only refuses to keep up, but she resents her husband's growth. This is much of what is wrong with marriage. Many a wife, of course, by her lack of affection, has had most to do with weakening the bonds of the marriage and driving the husband's old love out of him. An unaffectionate woman seems to welcome the coming of middle age, or a hysterectomy, or menopause as an excuse to ending all that love stuff. I like to see a woman who, even in her 40s and 50s, will sometimes give her husband a kiss or an affectionate pat, or will snuggle up to him or run her hand through his hair. I've known men who easily forgave their wife for begging off from her marital duties, but who longed for the little pats and signs of affection that only a loving woman gives. Curiously, I've had many a woman tell me that in spite of the fact that she greatly loved her husband and was affectionate with him, intercourse was simply distressing or distasteful or even painful.